everybody, Sunday night.
Good evening, good evening. If it's Sunday night, it must be Satsang with John and Michelle.
Yeah, lovely to have you with us on this beautiful Sunday night. We have a little bit of rain here in the Cape, which is just so beautiful after all the dry weather. So it's wonderful.
Yeah, so those of you who don't know, the Western Cape is a Mediterranean climate and we don't get rain in summer.
Yeah.
So when we do, it's really such a blessing, such a blessing.
Beautiful, gentle rain.
Yeah.
So tonight we're going to be talking about finding peace in times of turmoil, which is pretty apt with what's going on our planet right now and the conflicts and the challenges that we're facing as a collective and individually. So we're going to be talking about that. And as usual, John will lead us in with the centering meditation, and I'll lead you out with another one. And I'll give you a little bit of an update about what's happening in the heavens as well.
And the purpose of these Sunday night satsangs is not to give you information. That's not what it's about. We've got enough information. We've read the books, we've done the courses. The purpose of these satsangs is really to bring us into presence, to bring us into peace, and to help us find our centeredness, to help find that which will guide us through all the turmoil or the trauma or the challenges that we're facing at the moment. So while we sit here tonight, just continually bring yourself back to centeredness. That's the purpose of this satsang.
Yeah, and it's also to build community support so that we actually don't feel that we're alone, because we're not, and to prepare ourselves for the week. It's a nice way to just get ourselves ready for the week ahead. Yeah, so thank you for joining us. Lovely to see some familiar faces here.
We have quite a community that we're building up here. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So welcome everyone. Let's start this evening as we normally do by bringing ourselves fully into the present moment. Yes, we've had a day today. Yes, we've had a weekend. Let us just withdraw our mind from all other times and all other places and just become absolutely centered where you are right now. And before we close our eyes, let's just look around the room and just observe the forms that we have around us right now. And as we look around, try not to label anything. Just see it for what it is. I know the mind will come in, and we've got a beautiful candle lit here. And when we look at this, it's difficult not to label it candle. But just try and see the forms as they are directly, without the filters of the mind, without the labeling, without the conceptualization that the mind loves to do. So just spend a moment just looking around the room and just seeing what you can see around you. Observe what is. Because as we observe without labeling, we become more centered. We become more connected with the reality of just this moment, here and now. And now maybe you want to settle back on your chair. Maybe gently close your eyes. And take a deep breath in. Very deep breath in. And when we take a deep breath in, we want to breathe from our tummy. So we push our tummy out like a big ball. And then we make a long out breath. And we surrender everything that no longer serves us. Take another deep breath in, pushing our tummy out like a big, big balloon. And then a beautiful, long, surrendering breath out. And as we take that out breath, we center ourselves more down into the body. Take a third deep breath in, pushing your tummy out and taking the air in your imagination right down to your toes. So you're really filling your whole torso up with the air. And then that beautiful, long, relaxing, surrendering breath out. Just let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. And sinking down deeper into your body and back into the present moment. And now just allow life to breathe you gently as it always does. Allow it to breathe you in, and the slight pause and the out breath. But maintain your awareness on the breath. And as you do so, as you become aware of this gentle in-breath and out-breath, you also become aware of your body, where it's sitting right now. Become aware of the chair or the bed or the floor that you're sitting on. Become aware of the backrest if you have one, and Maybe even just settle back further into the backrest and just feel that support that you have right now from your furniture. Maybe being a bit appreciative of the furniture. A thank you to the comforts that you have in just this moment, here and now. Become aware of the floor under your feet. Become aware of where your hands are touching right now. Become aware of the temperature of the air on your cheeks. And observe all the sounds that you can hear right now. If it is evening where you are, maybe you can hear some evening sounds. We have the sound of soft rain where we are. Just observe any sounds that you can hear. Without particularly labeling or judging the sounds, just be the observer of the sounds, witnessing everything that's coming into your awareness right now. The pressure, the sensation of the chair you're sitting on is drifting into your awareness. The floor that your feet are resting on is in your awareness. Where your hands are touching right now is in your awareness. The temperature of the room on your cheeks is also in your awareness, as are all the sounds that you can hear right now. They're coming into your awareness. And now observe the thoughts that are drifting through your awareness. Let them just pass gently by. Don't hold on to them. Don't resist them. Don't understand them. Just observe these thoughts as they drift through your awareness. And as you do observe what it feels like to be sitting here right now, notice that there is a space into which all the observations come and go. Just honor this space, this emptiness, with your attention, with your focus. Noticing the breath as it arises within this space. Notice your thoughts as they drift into the space and leave the space. Notice any sensations in the body, any emotions in the body. Just witness them as they arise in this space and as they gently dissipate in this space. Sinking your awareness down into your body and back into the present moment. Life, right now in this moment, is living you. Life right now in this moment is breathing you. Life right now in this moment is beating your heart. Maybe digesting your food. Life listens. The very act of listening is something beyond our understanding or control. It's something that happens in the space of our conscious attention. You are this space. We are this space. This space is everywhere, all at once. It's in me, it's in you, it's in Michelle. The same space. Becoming aware of this connection beyond objects, beyond form, beyond time, is what love is. Love is the awareness of oneness, of connection. So just center your awareness in your heart and feel the sense of oneness, with all those who are joining us tonight in this satsang, in this celebration of peace, of ease, of presence. And say a quiet thank you in your heart for all those energies that are adding their conscious attention to this group this evening. Just say thank you and see how that brings you even more into the present moment. Gratitude can only be felt in the present moment. Now take another very deep breath in, pulling the air right the way down your body, filling your whole body up to the top of your head. And then a beautiful, long, relaxing, releasing sigh out twice as long as the in-breath. And as you do that, just relax your shoulders, your neck muscles, relax your forehead, smooth away the worry lines, relaxing your legs and your arms. And when you're ready, you may gently open your eyes. And as you open your eyes, just see how you feel in this moment. How do you feel? Let us know in the comments box how you feel now. Do you feel any difference between when we started and where we are now? Just notice that. We didn't change anything in the exterior world. The world of circumstance, the world of objects is all exactly the same. But something changed. And what changed was that we aligned with life, with presence. Makes a big difference. So let us know what you feel and where you are watching from. We love to know that. And if you enjoy this satsang, just give us little hearts. We love getting those little hearts, and like and share. Like and share.
It was lovely. Thanks, John. I feel very calm now. So welcome everybody again to this beautiful Sunday night. And just let me know if my voice is a bit soft, but otherwise I'll just keep going. So we're going to talk about dealing with times of challenge and how we can best do that. This week, just astrologically, there's not a lot to tell, but the one thing that is happening is that retrograde, Mercury retrograde. Mercury's just gone retrograde yesterday. So Mercury is the planet of communication. And so people get a little bit scared about Mercury retrograde. There's nothing to be fearful of. It happens 3 times a year, every year. But obviously each time it's got a different energy to it. So Mercury retrograde in Aquarius, which is where it is, along with the Sun and Saturn and Jupiter and a lot. What it really means is that we're really questioning our perceptions, how we perceive things. So when Mercury is retrograde, when any planet is retrograde, it sort of asks us to go to just look at, to reassess, to review, to re-envision our lives, our realities. So when Mercury is in retrograde in Aquarius, Aquarius is about our perceptions. It's about what we observe, how we see things, our belief systems, what we believe to be true or what we've been conditioned to believe is true. So with this Mercury retrograde cycle, it's very connected in with the other energy that I've been talking about. It's really about saying, what is true? Do I believe my perceptions? Do I believe the belief systems that I've believed in always? Am I sort of biased with conditioning? And can I be more open to other people's opinions, to other people's perceptions? That's really what it is. Aquarius is very much about building a community, building unity, building oneness, standing together as opposed to standing apart. And so we've got a chance in the next few weeks, especially with Mercury retrograde, to just re-look at those belief systems. Even those things that we say, I believe that, that's true. Question them. Just be open to saying, I'm not sure, actually. Not actually 100% sure that I even believe that. anymore. And I think that as the world changes and as we are faced with the challenges that we're facing on the planet, we need to all do that. Because there's momentous challenges, but there's also the raising and the awakening of us to a new reality, to a new consciousness. And that's also a very Aquarian theme. So, yeah, just be aware of that. There can also be sometimes disagreements and conflicts, so just be aware of that. And keep using the tools, bring yourself back into presence before you have a reaction, a knee-jerk reaction, because that can happen. And also just on the practical side, it's always a good idea to back everything up when Mercury is retrograde, because technology tends to have a tendency to break down. Computers tend to crash. We tend to lose our data, all that kind of stuff. If you're traveling, which might be unlikely, but if you are, check your flights beforehand. All those kinds of things that are ruled by Mercury: travel, communication, connection, discussions, one-on-one communication, communication with groups, and also just to maybe limit our the stuff that's coming at us from an information point of view, because that can be overwhelming. So maybe it's just about just drawing back a bit. Retrograde is drawing back just a little bit, taking some space back, getting behind our thoughts, especially, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. It's Mercury retrograde, so we're right there.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity to practice what we've been learning, isn't it? Very good opportunity when Mercury goes retrograde.
Yeah.
So, we do live in, a time of great uncertainty, a time of change. And yes, it might be very disturbing for the mind, because the mind loves predictability. The strange thing about the mind is it loves predictability. It loves patterns that it can predict the future. But it also gets incredibly bored with sameness. It's weird, because it loves predictability on the one hand, and yet it really hates predictability. So there's a bit of a dichotomy in the mind there. But this is a wonderful opportunity to, as Michelle said, to step back from the mind, and observe. And that is one tool which we'd like to work with you this evening, which can bring you back into centeredness, no matter what chaotic circumstances or uncertainties you may be finding yourself in. If you can step back out of that story and just observe the isness of this moment, just what is in this moment, what are the objects surrounding you, what is the detail. And if you have too much noise going on in your mind, take a piece of paper and write the problems down out of your mind. Write them down from number 1 to number 100, whichever problems you have. Write them down, get them out of your head and put them on a piece of paper. And then stand back and observe them. Don't go into the problem, but just observe what you've written on that piece of paper. I absolutely guarantee you that probably 98 of the 100 problems that you wrote on that piece of paper will never come to pass. And the 2 that do come to pass, you'll deal with them perfectly in the present moment. If you look back at that piece of paper in a year's time, you'll be amazed at how they didn't manifest the way that you thought they were going to manifest.
Yeah, absolutely. And our fears that we have about the future are just illusions, because who knows what's going to happen in the future. But we spend a lot of our time hanging out, many of us, in what ifs. What if this happened, and what if that happened? Well, we don't know. And when it does happen, if we're present, we'll be able to deal with it, whatever it is, whether that's the loss of something, the loss of someone, a challenge, a huge challenge, a little challenge. We're always able to deal with it in the moment, particularly if we're present. And I think these are times where we're building that muscle. John and I keep on saying it. I keep on saying the taproot. We're building this taproot. And by doing a practice every day, by practicing these things every day, we actually get to build that muscle, so that if a challenge does arise, we're actually able to pull that right out and apply it in that moment, as opposed to waiting for the challenge and then suddenly saying, okay, we need to actually pull back and try and become present. So the more we can do it, the more we're able to actually deal with the challenges that come.
Yeah, and it's not to wait for the challenges to really hit you before you try applying these principles that we are sharing here. Rather apply them on an everyday, every moment, day by day moment process. Because if you're able to create calmness in your life and centeredness and presence in your normal day-to-day life, yes, when the big things come along, you may be thrown off a little bit, but very quickly you'll be able to come back. If you wait for the big things to come along before you try practicing any of these, oh my goodness me, I've just lost my job. Now, what did John and Michelle say? It's probably too late by then, because it's not part of your day-to-day ritual. It's not part of your habitual thinking or perceiving process. So we would really urge you right now, in every single moment, no matter how difficult or challenging or how peaceful it is, to practice coming back to the breath, coming back to observing what is around you, just looking at around you. One of the tools which we'd like to share for helping navigate you through this from an observational point of view is nature. You know, nature is such a wonderful, wonderful gift that we have. You know, earlier we were standing on the beach and the wind was blowing, and it's really so invigorating. It really is to connect with nature. So one of the tools that we can give you is to observe nature. And, you know, I recommend, even if you're working in an office space, to have a pot plant on the desk. And, you know, don't smoke the pot, but just observe it. Just look at the beautiful pot plant without labeling it, with no history in your mind. Don't conceptualize it as a somethingness that you've known for a long time. Just look at it in the moment. Look at the shape of the leaves. Look at the color of the leaves. And just give it your full attention. Full attention. Even if you only do this for maybe 20 seconds, it's long enough. And in the focusing on the pot plant without any mental barrier between you and the pot plant, you are actually feeding the pot plant with consciousness. So the pot plant is giving you its presence, and you are giving it the awareness of its magnificence in that moment. There's an exchange. Same as looking at a flower. You know, yes, we want to label a flower. We want to say that's a whatever, and it's a yellow. We want to label it color, or it smells nice, or it doesn't. Just look at a flower and perceive a color directly for what it is in the moment. And spend a few moments connecting with something deeper than the physical appearance of the flower, deeper than the color of the flower, deeper than the shape of the flower. And as you sit there in stillness, you will notice something deeper than the form. It's the formless. It's the true essence of life in that moment. Now, when you recognize it, when you start to see it, not in the logical mind, but you'll start to feel it from the heart. At the same time of recognizing the true essence of that flower, you notice something opening inside you, and it's a recognition of your true essence. Your true essence is flowering and recognizing the true essence in the flower itself. That's what I spoke about earlier as a sense of oneness. Oneness is when you recognize yourself in something outside of yourself, the flower or a partner. You're recognizing yourself, the true essence of you, which is manifested also in the world around you. That is love.
And, you know, when you're looking into a flower, especially, I find, it's like a natural mandala. Any of you have ever done a mandala, painted a mandala, colored in a mandala? And a mandala is always a circular symbol. And the point in the middle of the mandala is, the intention of it is to bring your attention into the very point of awareness. So when we look at nature, we look at plants, flowers, and you take your attention right into the middle of it, you're actually stilling the mind, because you're pulling your point of attention in. So the external world is not hammering at you anymore. You're just completely in the moment. If you've never tried doing a mandala, it's always a beautiful thing to do, to bring you into the present. You can just color one in, and that actually brings you in, simply because it's actually done in that round shape. So nature always brings you into the moment, which is, I think, why we always crave nature. It's also, as you know, we were driving back from where we went today, and we were going through sort of quite built up areas and concrete and highways and signs and cars, and then every now and then there would be a little plant that would pop out on the side of the road, or a tree. And it's those things that actually add the beauty, and those things that we connect with. And when we too kind of surrounded by technology, by electronic stuff, by very linear stuff, by linear thoughts, linear things that we have to do, we actually lose touch with that. So one of the ways I think that we can always navigate, whatever we're navigating, easier, is to just connect with nature, to just go outside. If you can't go outside, as John said, get a pot plant, and really connect with that plant, because you are not separate from the plant. Your essence is not separate from the plant. Plant's essence is not separate from you. So you actually work, as John said so beautifully, in harmony with that plant or that tree or that scene. So that's one way of doing it. The other way that I find is really, really good is to bring your attention to the breath, because it's immediate. In whatever situation you find yourself in, when we find the mind or the roommate in the head going bazonkers, is to actually just breathe. Just breathe. 3 deep, slow breaths. And it straight away, it actually brings you out of the chaos. It brings you into, we've often spoken about the center of the storm. And the center of the storm is very still. There can be complete chaos around you, but if you're at the center of the wheel, you're in stillness. If you're on the outside of the circle of the wheel, it's going really fast. And there's a tendency to spin out before you even know what's happening. And so it's to continually bring ourselves back into that center. And the breath is one of the ways that really helps to do that.
It is, yeah. Yeah. And you know what creates the storms of our life are not necessarily the circumstances, situations, or people that we find ourselves in. It's to recognize that it's actually the real storm is being created from our thoughts about the circumstances, the situation. So to recognize that the mind is actually the cause of most of the disturbances that we feel. And you know, we have a monthly platform called Inner Space, and Inner Space is very much about creating this peaceful base to always come back to moment to moment to moment. And in alignment with astrology, the theme for February is to be the observer.
Yeah.
Why have we chosen that subject?
Well, very much, along the lines of the Aquarian theme that I've been talking about, because Aquarius is where the sun is this month, it's where Mercury is this month, it's where Saturn and Jupiter are this month. And Aquarius is the sign of observation. It's the one that can see further, that can see bigger. It gives us an opportunity, the energy of it gives us the opportunity to look at things differently, to look at things from a different perspective. You know, if you're looking at something from this angle, and my view of this is different from John's view, because I'm sitting here and he's sitting here. If I were to lift myself up, I would have a different view. So it's a choice of actually changing our perception and changing our perspective. So literally looking at something, looking at a situation and choosing to see it from a different perspective. Sometimes it's literally getting up and moving to a different place. Or if you're feeling a feeling, is to see if you can shift your state. That changes it. So if you're feeling very sad and you get up and you bounce around a bit, your state will change. So it's being aware of, but in order to do that, you've got to be able to observe it. So you'll be able to see it. And that's why self-inquiry is so important. That's why doing this work on an ongoing basis is so important, so that you can actually you can observe yourself. Look at Michelle. She is reacting to this, or she's feeling resistance to that. So it's almost, what I do is I take myself out of myself, in a sense, and become the observer of me. It's very interesting, and it's quite funny. Look at Michelle. She's reacting in this way to that. Isn't that interesting? And that's the first for me, that's the first kind of part of waking up, is to actually be able to see your feelings, to see your reactions. Sometimes if you're in a reactive state, is to just catch yourself while you're in it. That's huge. But we generally don't do that. We say, oh, no, I didn't handle that well. I'm not awakening fast enough. There's something wrong with me. I'm not getting it. No, if you saw it, that's the first step of becoming more awakened, becoming more conscious. So that's why this month is very important. The energies, what happens with astrology, nothing happens, nothing forces anything to happen. It's just that there's an energetic alignment. So we start to align with that energy, and then we're in the flow rather than fighting the flow. So this month is about observing. It's about perspective. It's about perception. It's about questioning those perceptions. And so this month in Inner Space, what we'll be doing is we'll be doing some lovely exercises to actually help you to actually see every day in a different way, to choose to see things in a different way.
Yeah. And what the first step in this process of centering yourself in this quiet place at the center of all the chaos that's going around is to recognize that your thoughts are not reality. They're just your thoughts. That's all they are. They're just your thoughts. So the first step in being the observer, to bring you back into this place of peace, is to observe your thoughts, to be aware of your thoughts. Ah, that's a thought. That's quite a repetitive thought. I've actually been thinking that thought over and over again for the last 20 years. And it's to observe the thought. Same with your emotions. Yes, you're feeling anxious or fearful or whatever emotion you're feeling, to observe that emotion. Not to be the thought and not to be the emotion, but to observe the thought, to observe the emotion. The moment you are the observer, that is the centeredness. That is the place of peace. That is consciousness. That's awareness, is to be that observer. And it takes practice. And as we said earlier, it's to practice in easy times, so that when you do have the tsunami or whatever it is, you in that moment you can come back, because that's your default. Your default is to come back as the observer and to observe all the situations. For example, if you're in an argument, just for one moment while you're in that argument, step out of the drama and observe yourself, observe your thoughts, observe your need to defend your position, and observe the other person. Observe what's going on with them. Observe their need to defend their position. So your ego is trying to defend itself, and their ego is trying to shore up their identity. And just for one moment, if it takes 10, 15 seconds of observing, suddenly you're not the ego anymore. You're free of the ego. And it actually gets very hilarious. You can actually start laughing in the moment of an altercation, because you realize how ridiculous it is, how ridiculous your ego is. You see, what is the ego? But the ego is the unobserved mind. That's really what the ego is. And the moment you observe it, it's not the ego anymore. It dissipates very, very quickly. 10, 20 seconds, the ego is melted away, and you're back. The sanity is back, because your ego is not really sane, is it? So the moment you are able to observe, you become sane, you become centered again.
Yeah, absolutely. And as John said, it takes a little bit of practice. The other thing is just noticing the thoughts that we have about any situation and the tendency that we have to judge everything. So it's not necessarily, as you said, the situation. So if you have a situation like it's raining, very often that'll actually be followed by a whole story about, why is it raining? It shouldn't be raining now. I didn't want it to rain now. I've got the washing outside. Or no, it's raining. So you accept the fact that it's raining. So part of the raising our consciousness is not to be resistant to what is. This is happening. I don't have to like it, but I accept that this is happening because it is happening. There's nothing I can do to stop it from happening necessarily. It's happening because it needs to be happening. So that's the first step. Then you can actually accept that it's happening, and you can get out of resistance. Because the mind will bring all sorts of resistant patterns as to why it shouldn't be happening. and what are you going to do about it, and how are you going to cope if this, that, and that, and that, and that happens as a result of this, as opposed to just saying, no, this is what's happening right now, so be it, this is what's happening right now. Can I just be present for this? Can I just hold a space for this and not judge it? Because we also only see a tiny little sliver of reality. We don't see the whole picture. So we can see it as a catastrophe when actually it's a huge opportunity. But we can't see that if we're in the mind, because the mind will tell us it's a catastrophe.
And the amazing thing is that when we start to observe, when we go into the stillness that observes, we become more intelligent. We become open to a greater intelligence than our thinking mind. And that intelligence does know more about the universe than our logical mind. And from that higher perspective, we can be led to make decisions, to become the creative problem solver in ways that the logical mind could never figure out. So there is a very practical benefit to coming into the centeredness, to becoming the observer, the stillness within the argument or within the storm. Because suddenly you'll find a new way of handling the situation emerging through you. New words will arise with you. Where did they come from? Yeah. New observations coming through. Wow, where do they come from? They're coming from life. They're coming from the true essence of what you and who you are. And when you start to trust that, everything changes. You see, one of the emotions and experiences that a lot of people have been having in the last year is fear and anxiety. A lot of fear and a lot of anxiety have been arising in people because generally people have relied upon their mind to guide them. And the situations are beyond most people's control at the moment. And what Michelle mentioned earlier was that there is nothing that will ever happen in the present moment that you will not be able to deal with. Yeah. You cannot deal with the future because it isn't happening. And how do I know that to be an absolute fact? Because if you look back in your life, no matter how big the calamity, in the moment, right in the moment, you dealt with it. No matter how difficult it was, you dealt with it. And therefore, anything that's ever going to happen to you, that ever possibly could happen to you in the future, when you get to that point, you will deal with it perfectly in the moment. So don't waste any energy, any mental energy at the moment, any emotional energy, worrying about the future. Rather, learn to bring your awareness back into presence and appreciate the isness of life in this moment. Because the moment you are present, there is gratitude for each and every moment. And when you start to live your life from points of gratitude rather than points of worry or points of fear or points of regret, your whole life experience changes. And I would suggest that when we do start to live our life in this centered way, we start to live a successful life. A successful life has got nothing to do with achievement. It's got absolutely nothing to do with acquisition. It's got everything to do with how you feel about this moment here. Because your life is made up of these bricks of present moment experiences. And don't wait for some future time when the present moment is going to be perfect, because that's what the mind says. The present moment is already perfect. The only thing that isn't is our thoughts about it. So the exercise of becoming the observer is to stand back from your thoughts, just in this moment, not the next moment, just this moment right now, and find the stillness that's inherent in just this moment. And in that stillness, there will be gratitude. It takes practice. It takes practice to do it when life situations are not as challenging as they might be. So, for example, if you're lifting up a glass of water to drink, that's all you're doing. Now, the mind will always be ahead of yourself. The mind will say, well, I ought to drink that, put the glass down. No, in this moment, you just appreciate the fact that you are lifting up a glass of water. And now you're taking a sip. And it's the appreciation of just the sip, not needing a next sip, not needing to put the glass down yet. It's in this very moment that you can find that gratitude and that appreciation. Do it in small ways, and you will handle the big problems far better.
Yeah, I think the other thing that really helps, I'm going to lean forward because somebody's backing to hear, what really helps as well is to slow down. So as John just demonstrated there, he lifted the glass up and took a sip and tasted the water and felt himself swallowing the water. Most of our lives are spent trying to get finished with that so that we can move to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So I've got to finish dinner so I can wash the dishes so then I can sit down on the couch or whatever it is, but we're not present for the dinner or the washing the dishes or sitting on the couch because we're thinking of the next thing. So when we slow down our actions, when we actually just focus on the actual physical sensations of what we're doing, so the washing the dishes, so you're focusing on your hands in the water and the beautiful water washing these dishes. That's it. You're not focusing on anything else. You're just centering yourself. So what happens is it becomes almost like a continual meditation, because there's no point in sitting for 15 minutes a day feeling space and beautiful, beautifully spacious and connected, and then spending the rest of the 23 and a half hours feeling completely spun out. So it's to actually bring those moments of presence into every moment of the day. The other thing is pausing. We've mentioned it before. It's just a reminder. Pause. If you feel yourself spinning, you feel yourself worrying, you feel yourself being overwhelmed, bring yourself back into the present by breathing and just pause. Just pause between different things that you have to do. And you'll find that you won't react in the same way because you're actually putting a space in between the trigger or the episode or the person speaking to you, whatever it is, and your reaction. So you're creating a space. And in that space, that's where the consciousness comes. That's where we have a choice to, I need to actually just go outside for a minute, or I need to pull back a little bit before I answer. It's okay to do that. We always think we have to answer straight away. We have to say what we have to say right now because it's so urgent. It's never that urgent. You can always just withdraw and say, no, I just need a breath. I need to take a break and breath. So that really works as well, I think, just the pausing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's to realize that the real problem that you have is not your mother-in-law, it's not the government, it's not the weather. The real problem that we have is this mind that's out of control. The mind makes a wonderful servant, but a tyrannical master. And so our journey here, if it is peace that we want, is to tame the mind. And to understand that the mind, the ego, feeds on drama. It loves drama. Maybe you don't like drama, but your mind, your ego absolutely loves it. It's food for the ego. So if you would like to gain more control over your mind, then why don't we stop feeding the mind with the drama? And we can quite easily do that by just stepping back in the moment. That's all you ever have to concern yourself is just this moment here and now. The affirmation to bring you back is my point of power is always in the present moment. My point of power is in the present moment. So all you do in the moment, you step back into yourself and you observe. You observe your thoughts, you observe your emotions. And in that space that you create, there is a higher intelligence which will come through you. And as you start to rely more and more on that, so you don't feed the ego anymore with this drama. You don't feed the mind anymore with the drama. And some people say, but I don't create the drama. The drama just comes to me all day long. Well, guess what? We live in a world of vibration, of sympathetic vibration. And whatever you're observing on the outside, you have on the inside. So if there's drama on the outside, there's drama on the inside. And we can't always change what's on the outside, but we can definitely start to change what we're attracting by changing the vibration within us. So if there's a storm on the outside, find the stillness. Feed the stillness, because that stillness will dissipate the storm on the outside. And you will become the peace that you seek in the world. And your peace will then ripple out. Instead of creating drama and feeding drama around you, you will start to feed the peace in each and every individual. When we spoke about looking at that flower, When you really observe that flower and you look for the essence beneath the form, do you know what you find? You find peace. You find stillness. And in recognizing that in the world around you, that grows, because there's a law in the universe that says whatever you put your attention on grows, expands. And if we put our attention on what is wrong with our life, what is wrong with the world around us, that grows. But when we start to be the observer and start to find that stillness within each and every moment, that grows, that expands, and we become that which we seek in the world, which is peace. And I would suggest the world doesn't need more drama right now. It needs your peace, it needs your acceptance, it needs your love.
And we always have a choice of whether we're going to feed into, what we're actually going to feed into the field. We are energetic, the field is energetic, everything's energy. So what are we feeding into the field? Are we going to feed more fear, more drama, more reactivity into the field? Or are we going to just hold a space and hold a place of peace, hold a place of kindness, of compassion? That's huge. That makes every single one of us a teacher. You don't need to be on Facebook Live. You can actually be teaching just by holding a space for someone when they're freaking out. And you don't get into the drama with them. Magical things happen. I mean, one of the guys on our workshop the other day spoke to us and said, this chap was really freaking out, and he didn't know what to say, so he just sat there and held a space for him. And this person that was having a bit of a meltdown, eventually the meltdown dissolved. And it all just was fine. And he didn't have to say anything. He didn't have to do anything. He didn't have to fix anything. So just by actually being that presence, we actually help to change the world. And that's what's needed right now. Because there's enough drama, and enough polarity, and enough people fighting each other. So those of us that are on this journey, I see that as our role right now.
And what we need for ourselves is possibly a new vision, a new way of seeing our potential. Not in terms of doing as we always have, but in terms of being. And that's a completely different vision of ourselves. And we have a new course that's just starting this week, and it's the Journey to Freedom. Journey to Freedom 6, number 6 now. And this week it's a free, this week is completely free, and it's a life vision week, and you can still join by going to journeysofAwakening.com. And there we look at envisaging a new you, a new life for yourself with the life vision. What is it you really, really, really want? And that's a very important answer in the world that we're going to, because we live at the moment. When things are very fixed and very stable, it's very difficult to bring about change. But when the world is very uncertain, there's a massive opportunity now for creative expression, for new creative ways of being in the world. And I think we do need to ask ourselves a question: what is the vision we have for ourselves, for our life?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very good time to ask.
Yeah. So if you want to join us, it's journeysofAwakening.com.
There's still time to join.
Yeah.
You're very welcome to join. We have 2 Zoom calls, and if you join the first Vision Week, we've already had 1 Zoom call, but you can check up on that. You can watch it. There's a recording, and we'll have the second one on Thursday.
Thursday night, yes.
Yeah. So you're still welcome to join us.
So we have two offerings. The Journey to Freedom is a 13-week course, and we go through 13 different modules there. But then we have the ongoing monthly platform called Inner Space. So we have those two.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. It's a really lovely community of support.
Yeah.
So it's not just about John and I. It's about actually community and people actually helping each other through situations, which is just incredibly hard.
On a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Moment-to-moment basis.
Yeah, so that's really, really wonderful.
Yeah. So the just to sum up tonight is to step out of the drama of your life, to step away from the drama in this moment, just this moment. Just remember, just this moment. Let me step out of the drama just in this moment and observe my thoughts, observe my feelings, my emotions, observe the world around me, and notice in that moment that the observer is actually the stillness. And as soon as you start to recognize that you are that stillness, your whole life changes in magical ways, because stillness doesn't need to be more. It doesn't look for more. It doesn't have a sense of lack of self-worth. Stillness is complete and perfect. And when you start to recognize yourself as that, everything changes. Life, instead of being a struggle, a fearful, anxious struggle, becomes a joyful dance. So I'm going to ask Michelle to take us into a guided visualization. And do that for us.
We'll see what arises, shall we?
Yeah.
I never know quite what's going to arise. So let's just settle in, and I'm going to lean forward. So just somebody let me know if you can hear me. I think my voice is loud enough. So just settle in, make yourself comfy, feel the support beneath you, whether that's a chair or whether you're lying on the bed, and just allow yourself to really just relax into this moment. Thanks, Julie. And take a beautiful, deep, slow breath in through your belly. So blow your belly out, and then bring that breath up into your diaphragm and all the way up into your lungs. And then release the breath from the lungs to the diaphragm to the belly. Make the out breath longer than the in breath. So breathing in through the tummy, all the way up to the diaphragm, up to the lungs. Hold for a second and then release and make the breath longer on the out breath. Blow it out through your mouth. And on each out breath, just release, release, release. Let's do one big long breath in, all the way in. And then a lovely relaxing, you can even sigh it all out. And now just witness your normal breath, flowing in and flowing out, with no effort whatsoever required on your part. Just allow yourself to be breathed by life. Imagine a beautiful golden light above your head. Bring that light down through the top of your head. Allow that light to swirl around very gently through your head, relaxing, releasing, purifying, clearing. Allow that light to come down through your throat, down into your shoulders, into your neck and then your shoulders, down each arm, into your hands. And just for a moment, stop at your hands and feel the energy in your hands right now. Just focus your awareness on the sensation that you feel in your hands. You're not reaching for a sensation, you're just noticing what arises. There might be a little warmth, there might be a little bit of tingling. Just notice this sensation. Notice the life flowing into your hands. Now bring that golden light down in through your torso, front and back, all the way down through your legs, into the ground beneath you, connecting into the earth, completely centering yourself in this moment. Just being present in this moment. Now take a spark of that light, put it inside your heart. Breathe into your heart. Feel your heart expanding. And as you sit in this moment of peace, if you feel thoughts arising, you feel your attention drifting, bring your attention back to your breath. Bring your attention back to the feelings in your hands. Imagine that you're sitting in the middle of a big wheel that's going round and round. And you're sitting right in the center of that wheel. That spark of light in your heart is right in the middle of it. When you're centered in that place, it matters not what's happening on the outside. You can observe it, you can notice it, but you're present and strong and resilient and powerful. That point of power is within you, right in the middle of your heart, right in the middle of the ever-changing world of form is this place of complete stillness, full power. If any feelings arise, you notice them. Just allow them to be there, allow them to come up, and then bring your focus back to the center of the wheel. Full acceptance for what is, no resistance. Just being here now, fully present, fully in your power, fully in your sovereignty. Breathe into that. Feel that permeating your body. You can feel that light growing till it radiates out of you. And your point of awareness starts to lighten up the world. With no effort, just by being here now, being fully present in the role of the observer. Feel what you feel in your body. Connect with this feeling of peace. Take a beautiful breath in and out. And another breath in and out. And then when you're ready, gently open your eyes.
That was lovely. Wasn't that beautiful? So centering. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Let's take a card. Do you want to hold it and I'll draw to that? We're going to choose an affirmation for the coming week. Let's see what we have. Take a green card and okay, it's a Ho'oponopono. This is one way of letting go of the drama. Ho'oponopono is just 4 sentences which you repeat whenever you have any troubling situation. Just say these 4. You can use them in different order, but this is the order that I like. So you just bring the situation or the person into your mind and you say, I love you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Just repeat those 4 sentences. They carry great power within them. I love you, which is a sense of connecting with them. I am sorry. I'm apologizing for this mind that's created drama, knowingly or unknowingly. Please forgive me. You're calling on the universe to dissolve these thought patterns or these emotions that created the drama. And then thank you. It's just the acknowledgement that it is done already. So a very powerful little Hawaiian prayer. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And thank you.
Very potent. It's a very, very potent thing to recite.
Thank you. We look forward to meeting up with you. Well, those of you on our courses, we'll see you during the week. But otherwise, we'll see you next Sunday for Sunday Night Satsang with John and Michelle.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everyone.
Night, night. Love you all. Bless you.